Melissa Sigler shares her story of entrepreneurship beginning at 10 years old, leading to now her 50s, learning about trading and early retirement. We also talk about the importance of nurturing the young entrepreneurs in our lives today. Thank you for being here, Melissa.
Hey, Lisa, I'm so excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, you and I have traveled the same circles for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years now. And I see you at different events and I know a little bit about your story, or I knew a little bit about your story. I'm learning more and more about you now. But we happened to sit near each other at an event this summer. And I just knew, seeing you around over the years, that you and I would hit it off. And I had a lot of questions for you. So I said, well, let's just do this on my show. And you were kind enough to do it. So thanks for being here.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay, we're going to talk about money. First of all, we're not giving anyone any financial advice or trading advice or anything like that, but we are going to take a deep dive into entrepreneurship and money and what that looks like for different people. And you specifically, because of the education you're receiving in trading and how you really shifted gears during COVID, but we'll get to that. Let's start first with your entrepreneurial spirit. You think like back to 10 years old is when you really started kind of thinking about money and how to earn it and when to earn it, where to earn it?
I did. Babysitting was my gig when and funny now, we don't hardly ever have a 10-year-old babysitting. But yeah, babysitting the neighbors' kids, and things like that, because I wanted my own money because I had plans to do things with. And I came from a really scarce money family growing up with a single mom of 4 kids.
Right.
So, yeah. And so there wasn't extra money for clothes, let alone activities.
The things you want to do. So give me an idea of let's remind our audience, like you're 10 years old, you're babysitting, you're saving cash. What are you spending it on? What's important to you at 10?
Probably at that time, I wanted to get it into savings.
Okay. So that's why I asked, because I wonder what some people would just want to go buy candy at the corner store, but you had plans.
I used to get to go to my aunt's house in Mexico every summer from the time I was, 6 or 7 or something like that. And so I always wanted money to go to Disneyland while we were down. We'd always go across the border and go to Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm and, those kinds of things. So I always wanted money to travel with. And I knew my mom wasn't going to be able to do that for me. So that's more so. I wasn't more the materialistic thing. I never have been. So, yeah.
So tell me then, did that start to help you understand the difference between the American dollar and just say the Mexican dollar?
Yeah. Yeah. I always got pesos, and then it was like a bummer when you didn't get back as much as you thought you were going to get once you exchanged it back to US dollars. And it's like, had to figure out how that was and why that was. And
yeah.
How come we got, the 2 for 1, $1 was worth 2 times as much in Mexico. And it's like, oh, cool, So, yeah.
I remember my nephew there in Canada, and I remember when he was young and he was pretty frustrated by the exchange. And I said, oh, wait till you pay taxes and you'll really see what happens to your dollar, whatever form it comes in, whichever country you're in, if you pay taxes. Okay, so let's talk about then, so you had an entrepreneurial spirit. You were a massage therapist for more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
You owned your own businesses, and then you had an idea, which so many of us do, that we think we have the best idea. We're going to get a patent. I have a design patent. It has no power whatsoever, but I have worked in business enough that sometimes people will reach out to me about a patent. And all I say is, it's not what you think. Go talk to so-and-so, go read such and such. Tell me about your product idea and tell me about the lengths at which you were willing to go to see that through.
Wow, that has been and still is a continuing journey. So in 2008, I was at the pool. I'll just give you a brief synopsis. I was at the pool and I'm laying like a lot of ladies do on the Chase Lounge with my book down on the ground. And, you're holding the pages and you got your arms down and your arms are falling asleep because your book's on the ground. And these kids splash and get my book wet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wanted something I could lay on my chase, read my book comfortably, or at the beach, because I would always make 2 mounds of sand, one for my chest, one for my book. And so I packed up everything, packed up myself up, I went to Walmart and I got every inflatable anything that you possibly could get that I could make this out of. And I went in my living room and I folded and manipulated and duct taped these air mattresses into basically the best hugging pillow you possibly can do. And I laid on my living room floor, read for an hour, and it was like, it didn't hurt my back. I was comfortable. I was like, oh, this is going to work on the beach. I love this. So it's called the Sphinx Personal Lounger, inflatable lounge, a book holder that allows you to lie on your stomach and read comfortable.
And that was the beginning of you seeking a patent and going through all of the stress and reward of that, right?
Absolutely. So with a duct taped together prototype, I took it to the nation's largest inventors trade show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it won a silver medal for innovation of recreation equipment. And just with the duct tape together version. And then 3 years later, that was in 2010, and 2013, I took it back with a shelf ready product. I'd gone through prototyping, and I joined a resource company that helped you find manufacturing and prototyping and CAD drawings, and thousands of dollars later came up with a shelf ready version. And it won a gold medal for innovation of recreation equipment at that time. And in that process, the people that I was working with, unbeknownst to me, were money grubbing, because people are out there to scam you all the time and get you to spend money on things when you don't even know if you have a product that's going to sell. So I went through that patent process and I got a provisional patent, but I did it by myself. I didn't hire an attorney.
Right. Okay.
I wrote it by myself so I could have a patent pending something.
Right. Something. Yeah. And that just kind of tells the big guys that there's things in the works on this.
In the works. Yeah. You get a year with that provisional. And so then you go through the whole entire patent process, which most people don't understand. You have to write this as if I gave it to you, Lisa, and you had to make it. You have to be that specific that you.
It's like Mr. Nielsen in fourth grade when we had to write how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right.
And we'd forget to tell him to take the lid off. And so he'd stick the knife on the lid. He's like, I can't even get into the jar. Right. Same.
Yep. Absolutely. So it has to be so specific. And then you have to come up with anything and everything that someone else would think to use it for. Yeah. So you have to ask all those questions.
They want to own the use.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
there's a process. It's a lot, right? You went through all of that.
It was 6 years of that process. Yeah. Of getting that patent. And
let's take a break. I want to talk about that. But I also want to mention, as your anchor to our community here, that WADA, which is now NCW Tech Alliance, you won Entrepreneur of the Year in 2014.
Yep.
Based on all of the things that you're sharing right now. So that was not the beginning of your entrepreneurship, but certainly as you were starting to get recognized for it, winning some medals for the work that you were doing. But let's talk now. We'll come back and talk about your shift of gears during COVID and all you've learned so far about trading. Not all you've learned, but some you've learned. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
We are back talking with Melissa Sigler. We're talking about establishing you as an entrepreneur, and even since 10 years old, just saving your money and babysitting, earning money, and learning about even the value of the dollar by traveling to Mexico and having that exchange. Let's talk about the shift of gears. That's what we talked about largely when we met over the summer. During COVID, there was a lot of downtime. A lot of people shifted gears. A lot of people changed careers. A lot of people had a whole awakening to what they might want to do with this next phase of their lives, and you're one of them. So again, we're not giving trading advice whatsoever, but we are going to talk about the academies that you've joined and the interest you took in trading. So lead us back to what you were doing when COVID was happening, when it got started, and what led you to doing the research you did, joining the academies, and really just trying to educate yourself in trading to the point that we'll get to that too, you're near retirement.
Well, So to back up just a step, I work with Alethea Writing Center. I'm an instructor there. I've been there 10 years. And during COVID, of course, I was there. But we always close from November to March because of the weather and our clientele and all that kind of thing. And so every winter, I was looking for some kind of something to supplement because I'm a seasonal employee there. And so I'd always supplement with something. So a girlfriend of mine showed me how she turned a penny into $5 on her phone. And I said, what the heck? You know, so she was trading in the foreign exchange market on a Great British Pound Japanese yen pair. And so I was like, how do you do that? You know, and so she's like, I knew you'd like this. And so I started, I took an interest in what she was doing, and she shared with me her login information for the academy that she was in so I could take a look at the process and all of that. And so I tried it for a few weeks, and my husband was a big video game player on his phone. And I said, how about if you played this video game that we actually make some money, you know, instead of playing some farm game, you know, whatever. And so we both took an interest in it and decided we would give it a couple years and paid the tuition for this academy to start from scratch and learn all about fundamentals and the candles and all the things that go with trading and why it works, why you can learn this skill. It's a lifelong skill. You'll never stop learning because fundamentals change daily, as we know in our world right now. So we decided to take that endeavor on and learn how to manipulate that skill. And because I got married at 50, my husband, I don't want him working until we're 65. I want to enjoy him. So this was an opportunity for us to maybe possibly use that income for a supplemental income.
Right.
And yeah, it's been working.
Well, one of the things that we were talking about, I want to talk about savings accounts, because when you and I were talking about that, can you just tell me your philosophy? This is Melissa's philosophy, not advice, but your philosophy and what you've learned about savings, a savings account, and what that, you know, you were saying you could do this with it, you could do this with it, you could do this with it, but having it sit there earning less than 1%, it's not like it used to be when you had a savings account.
Well, I didn't learn about that particular part of the savings account until I was in my 50s. And it had been sitting there in savings. And then realizing after learning trading, how fundamentals takes a part in it, how inflation takes a part of it. And every time, all your money sitting in savings right now in any bank, not financial advice, is losing money every day just because it's sitting there. So that was something I really wanted to delve into, and I've been researching, and I'm a constant student, and getting that money working for you. It's that Warren Buffett, you know, scenario. If you're not making money while you're sleeping, you're doing it wrong. You know, your money should be working for you, not sitting in an account waiting for that day for it to be used and making more money. And so that's what we do now. We don't do that whole savings account. There's, you know, a little bit in there, but
that's what I was just going to say. So there are some people who, no matter what, they're going to want that chunk there that they can get too fast. They don't have to make a phone call. They don't have to take a tax hit. None of that. That they're going to want that. And we're trained to say 3 times your monthly income, kind of like men or women are trained to spend 3 times their income on a engagement ring,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
But we get fed this stuff and we get taught this stuff because it works for banks that we want 3 times our income in the bank. And it works for jewelers that we spend 3 times our monthly income on a ring. And we are, I think, a lot of us in a position now that we're thinking, just like you said, after 50, you're thinking, I need to start questioning some of this stuff.
Well, not only that, but because I've been an entrepreneur, that retirement plan wasn't in it was my responsibility. There was no 401k and there was none of that. So having to come up with my own retirement plan and figuring out how I can make my money work for me, that was super important to Scott and I. And even though he has the retirement plan with his job 40 years, but for me, it was a little bit different.
And who gets to be at their job for 40 years these days, even if they want it to be? It's not as likely. And I was someone who, I made a real conscious decision after my husband passed away. Our son was 5 years old, and we received Social Security death benefits, and I could work part-time. And my goal was, okay, let me figure out how to feed my kid, feed my soul, and be home by 3 o'clock every single day when he gets home from school. And the value of that exceeded any 401k that I could possibly have, because what I wanted more than anything is for our little boy's life, everyday life, not to change. I didn't want to have to go work somewhere and not be there for him, because I had planned to be home with him and any other kids we had. That was our family plan. It's not everyone's family plan, but it was our family plan. And so I knew once Hunter, I also had to earn enough money to make sure I was building something that I could help pay for his college, and then have a career. I knew I was going to have to really hit the ground running with some of these passion side hustles in my 40s. And it's worked out for me, but it's worked out for me because of the fundamental things I've learned along the way. That exactly. And what do I want to expand upon, and what do I let go of? Because it's not feeding my soul at all, but it also, how do we figure out how to earn a living and also feel rewarded by the work we're doing? Not everyone requires that. Not everyone gets that. But that's what I enjoyed talking with you about, because, you're saying I'm nearing retirement. So let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about what retirement looks like to you.
Right.
And what freedom of your time looks like for you. This is a subject that I love to talk with people about, because it opens our minds to the thoughts that we leave behind sometimes. We get busy in the everyday work life, and we forget what we really wanted for ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
We'll be back in just a moment. Back talking with you, Melissa Sigler, about all things money and investments. And just let's talk now about that idea that there are some people watching who have a child or grandchild, or maybe the person themselves, who have an entrepreneurial spirit, who may not go to traditional college, who may go to trade school and decide to open their own business from that trade, whatever that looks like. But most definitely, if you have a child who's setting up lemonade stands at 10 years old, and then also, just trying to do all the things they can, putting up posters to mow lawns or babysit like you did, then that is a behavior and characteristic that we want to nurture in our kids. And let's talk about where we start out from and how we lose that along the way, and how we try to tell people, maybe don't take the advice of the people who aren't living the life you want to live. Parents or grandparents or people you respect in all other ways, but maybe financially or career-wise, they aren't living their dream.
Right. That's one of the biggest things is, like I said, I came from a meager upbringing, not a lot of money. And my mom wasn't into investing, or, she worked her 9 to 5 and that was good. And, that kind of thing. But I think it's really important to know what your why is, even from that lemonade stand. Why is that drive in you? What do you want? And not taking the advice from somebody who, one, is fearful, because that runs huge in our society, and
indeed, that families.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the whole, I love this, is don't fall for that get rich quick scheme. Well, who the heck wants to get rich a long time from now? It's right. Like, let's not do it. Let's not let it take Susie Orman 65 years of putting $100 away, and 65 years later you have $1 million. I don't want to wait 65 years.
Well, let's do that and all the other stuff.
Well, on the side. Let's do that on the side, and rely on all the other stuff. And so I love about knowing your why, and that's about your plan. You got to have your plan. You make your choices, your beliefs, your habits, and your focus to manifest what you want to create. And it's a fluid focus. It's a fluid plan, because it's going to change as you hit milestones and things like that. And the other thing that I love to do is ask somebody, what is your number? What's your lifestyle number? Write down how much is your personal chef? How much is your shows every year? How much is your travel? Write everything down that would make your perfect existence for your life, and see how much that costs, and then see what it's going to take for you to get there. Are you going to get there with your job? Are you going to get there with passive income? and for me, trading, investing, looking for passive income opportunities, real estate, those kinds of opportunities are not things that I pass up when I'm being, looking at that. And that's not something that kids can't do either. And the other part of that savings piece, even if it is a savings, I think our kids, even starting from young, $25 a month in the S&P, in Charles Schwab, open up an investment account and get something of every paycheck, have it automatically deducted or something so that it's building, because you look at these things on the stock market that haven't gone down historically. So over time, it's gonna be a good thing, and getting to know about investing and becoming financially literate and educated.
When you talk about retirement for you, you'll still look at opportunities for passive income. You'll still dabble in your trading, but retirement for you is like, okay, I built this, it's sustainable, it could get me through the rest of my life. It's time to go have some fun.
Sure. And that's trading. We call it trading on the beaches of the world. It's like traveling and being able to have your computer and look at your investments and your properties or whatever it is. And that passive income is taking care of you. And, but I mean, I'll always be involved with Alethea. I mean, it's a passion as well. So,
let's talk about that real quick. We just have 1 minute left. Let's talk about that. Sorry to interrupt you, but let's talk about time freedom. Alethea and volunteering there, working there, being a part of the work that they do there, we can scroll our phones, we can volunteer, we can do side hustles. We have a plethora of options of what we do with our time. And sometimes it takes a big life lesson for people to figure out how important time is. And so the more we can create opportunities for ourselves to enjoy the life we've built, like you're saying, I don't want to do this till I'm 65. I'm ready. Right?
Yeah. Let's start those time freedom stuff at 40 instead of at 55, 65, 75, and learn about that and learn about those opportunities that can help you, even if you love your job,
Sure.
even if you love your job, to have those side hustles that get your why.
That's what I was going to say as we're closing here. I just wanted to add that, there are plenty of people who are really content with the job they have, but let's make sure that the people in your home, like your children, your grandchildren, maybe your spouse, who is more passionate about entrepreneurship than you are, that those dialogues are open, that those conversations are happening, and that most definitely we can plug our young people into opportunities that are going to be necessary that weren't necessarily required 40 years ago.
And
Thank you for being here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. This was so fun. We could talk for days.
I know we're going to have to do it again. I'll see you around. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Lisa.